Have you ever wondered why no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to get close to a narcissist? At first, they pull you in with charm, promises, and even intensity that feels like connection. But psychologists explain that this is only a performance. Behind that mask lies a wall so thick that genuine intimacy can never exist. And it's not your fault. It's how they are wired. Narcissists build emotional walls because vulnerability terrifies them. Psychologists say real closeness requires trust, honesty, and openness. But to a narcissist, being vulnerable feels like weakness. So instead of letting you in, they hide behind arrogance, manipulation, or distraction. That's why no matter how much love you offer, you always feel like you're talking to a closed door. The truth is, narcissists fear being exposed. Deep down, many carry shame from childhood wounds or feelings of inadequacy. Psychologists emphasize that intimacy threatens to reveal those hidden parts. To protect themselves, they keep you at arm's length. The closer you get, the more they push away. It is not because you are unworthy. It is because they are terrified of being seen. This is why relationships with narcissists feel confusing. They'll pull you close one moment, showering you with affection, and push you away the next. Psychologists call this approach avoidance behavior. It keeps you hooked, chasing the closeness they rarely allow. The cycle feels like love at times, but in reality, it's a trap designed to keep you under their control. Another reason you can't get close is that narcissists don't value emotional depth. They thrive on surface-level admiration, compliments, attention, and status. Psychologists explain that deeper conversations about fears, dreams, or accountability make them uncomfortable. When intimacy requires depth, they retreat. You're left feeling like you know their mask, but never the real person inside. They also sabotage closeness with criticism. Just when you think you're bonding, they'll point out flaws, mock you, or start an argument. Psychologists note that this is a defense mechanism. By keeping you on edge, they prevent true intimacy from forming. It hurts because you're offering love, but they're protecting their ego at all costs. Narcissists also avoid closeness because it removes their control. Psychologists highlight that in healthy intimacy, power is shared. But narcissists crave dominance. If you get too close, you might see through their manipulation. That threatens the control they rely on. So they create distance, ensuring the relationship revolves around them, not mutual connection. Another factor is their lack of empathy. Psychologists confirm that empathy is the foundation of closeness. It's the ability to feel with someone, to share their world. Narcissists lack this capacity. Instead of listening and understanding, they dismiss, minimize, or redirect to themselves. Without empathy, closeness is impossible, no matter how much effort you give. Closeness also requires consistency. But narcissists live on highs and lows. Psychologists describe their relationships as a roller coaster. Love bombing followed by devaluation. That inconsistency keeps you chasing their approval, but never achieving safety. True closeness can only grow in stability. And with narcissists, stability is something they cannot provide. And here's the painful truth. You can get close to a narcissist because they don't let anyone close. Not really. The distance isn't about you being unlovable. Psychologists remind us it's about their fear, shame, and broken patterns. They block intimacy to protect themselves, even though it ensures their relationships remain shallow and unfulfilling. One major reason closeness is impossible is that narcissists don't see relationships as partnerships. Psychologists explain they see them as transactions. Your role is to provide admiration, validation, and attention. The moment you want equal exchange, like emotional support, they withdraw. They keep distance because mutual connection feels like loss of control. They also fear abandonment. Ironically, the very thing they fear most, they create. Psychologists say their fear of rejection makes them sabotage intimacy. If they push you away first, they don't have to face being left. So when you try to get close, they ruin it, ensuring they stay in control of the ending. This is why you often feel like you're chasing a ghost. Psychologists call this emotional unavailability. Narcissists give you just enough to keep you hooked, but never enough to feel safe. You sense something missing, but can't name it. That emptiness is intentional. It keeps you wanting more while protecting them from being fully seen. Even when they appear open, it's often an illusion. They may share stories or secrets, but psychologists warn these are often carefully chosen. They reveal just enough to appear vulnerable while hiding their true self. This controlled disclosure gives the impression of intimacy, but you're bonding with their mask, not their real emotions. Narcissists also block closeness through blame shifting. If you express needs, they turn it back on you. Psychologists explain that accountability feels like attack to them. Instead of connecting, they defend. This pattern leaves you walking on eggshells, unable to be real. Intimacy cannot survive in an environment where honesty is punished. Another barrier is their obsession with image. Narcissists spend energy maintaining appearances. Psychologists note that this focus on how they look to others prevents them from showing vulnerability. They care more about being admired than being known. That's why conversations stay shallow, about achievements, not insecurities, because image matters more than connection. Closeness also requires trust, but narcissists struggle with it. Psychologists emphasize that they assume everyone is out to use them, just as they use others. This paranoia makes them suspicious of genuine care. When you try to get close, they doubt your motives. Instead of embracing love, they keep you at a distance, fearing betrayal. They also guard against intimacy by constantly testing you. Psychologists describe how they provoke jealousy, pick fights, or withdraw affection to see if you'll chase them. These tests create drama but destroy closeness. For the narcissist, love isn't safe unless you prove loyalty again and again. But these games prevent any real bond from forming. Narcissists struggle with emotional depth. Psychologists say they are comfortable in extremes, love bombing or rage, but not in the middle ground of quiet intimacy. Real closeness happens in everyday moments of trust and care. But to a narcissist, those moments feel boring or threatening. They sabotage them, leaving relationships unstable. And here is the heartbreaking truth. You can get close because they don't know how to be close to themselves. Psychologists highlight that many narcissists avoid their own emotions. If they can't sit with their own pain or vulnerability, how could they ever share it with you? The wall you feel isn't just against you, it's against themselves too. They often distract from closeness with chaos. Psychologists note that when things feel too calm, they create conflict. Arguments, accusations, or drama shift focus away from intimacy. This is intentional, even if subconscious. Closeness feels dangerous, so chaos becomes their shield. You're left drained, wondering why peace never lasts. Another way they block intimacy is by keeping secrets. Psychologists emphasize that withholding information maintains power. By not sharing honestly, they keep control of the narrative. But this secrecy prevents trust, the foundation of closeness. You can bond deeply with someone who hides parts of their life, while demanding full access to yours. They also avoid closeness through triangulation. This means bringing a third party, an ex, a friend, or even a stranger, into the dynamic. Psychologists explain that triangulation creates distance between you and them. Instead of bonding, you're competing. It keeps you chasing while ensuring they never have to give you the intimacy you deserve. Narcissists fear losing control of their emotions. Psychologists say closeness can stir feelings of love, sadness, or neediness. These emotions make them uncomfortable because they rely on appearing strong. To avoid this vulnerability, they push you away whenever the relationship gets too deep, preferring shallow control over genuine emotional risk. Another barrier is their use of projection. Psychologists explain that when you get close, they accuse you of the very things they do, lying, cheating, manipulating. These accusations aren't about you, they're about their fears. Projection pushes you away, ensuring that intimacy is replaced by defensiveness and confusion. They also block closeness by competing with you. In healthy love, partners celebrate each other. But psychologists note that narcissists see your growth as a threat. Instead of connecting through support, they distance through envy. This competitive mindset prevents intimacy because closeness requires equality, not rivalry. Narcissists rely on performance instead of authenticity. Psychologists say they present a curated version of themselves, shaped to impress. But performances can't sustain intimacy. Eventually you realize you've bonded with a mask, not a person. This leaves you feeling lonely, even in the relationship, because real closeness never existed. They also block intimacy by minimizing your feelings. When you share pain or joy, they dismiss it. Psychologists highlight that this invalidation ensures distance. Instead of meeting you where you are, they make you feel small. Over time, you stop opening up, and closeness dies. Their need to elevate themselves prevents mutual connection. Another obstacle is their inability to apologize sincerely. Psychologists affirm that repair builds closeness. But narcissists see apologies as weakness. When they refuse to take responsibility, they block reconciliation. Without accountability, wounds fester. You can't get close to someone who denies harm instead of healing it. And here's the pattern. Every time you try to bridge the gap, they find a way to widen it. Psychologists remind us this isn't about your worth. It's about their fear. They can't tolerate the vulnerability intimacy requires, so they create walls of criticism, chaos, or distance. The result is always the same. No matter how much you love, you can't get close. Their childhood wounds often explain this wall. Psychologists say many narcissists grew up without safe attachments. They learned early that vulnerability leads to pain, so as adults, they repeat the pattern, protecting themselves at the cost of connection. Your love can't undo decades of fear, and that's why closeness feels impossible. They may even punish you for trying to get close. Psychologists note that when you ask for emotional honesty, they respond with anger or withdrawal. This teaches you not to try again, creating distance. Intimacy becomes dangerous for both of you. You risk rejection and they risk exposure. So the cycle of distance continues. Narcissists often replace intimacy with control. Psychologists explain that they prefer power over connection. Instead of bonding through trust, they bind through fear. This feels like closeness at first, but it's not. True intimacy uplifts both partners. Narcissistic control drains one while inflating the other. They also sabotage intimacy by keeping relationships transactional. Psychologists highlight that they give affection when it benefits them, but withdraw it when it doesn't. This conditional love keeps you insecure and needy, but it prevents true closeness. Real love requires consistency, not manipulation. Another tactic is future faking, promising closeness someday. Psychologists say they dangle dreams of commitment, vulnerability, or change, but never deliver. This illusion keeps you hooked, chasing something that never comes. It hurts because you believe closeness is possible, but the promise is only bait to keep you invested. They block intimacy with unpredictability. One day they're affectionate, the next they're cold. Psychologists explain that this keeps you off balance, always adjusting. But true closeness grows in safety, not chaos. Their hot and cold nature ensures you never fully relax, which prevents deep connection. Narcissists also struggle with empathy and conflict. Psychologists note that instead of hearing your pain, they focus on winning. This destroys intimacy because closeness requires repair, not competition. Every unresolved fight builds another wall, until the relationship is filled with barriers instead of bridges. They also fear losing independence. Psychologists explain that narcissists see intimacy as entrapment. To them, closeness means losing control of their freedom. So they push back, creating distance to protect their autonomy. But in doing so, they block the very connection that makes relationships meaningful. Another reason you can't get close is their constant need for admiration. Psychologists highlight that they crave praise more than authenticity. They prefer shallow compliments over deep conversations. This focus on validation keeps relationships surface level, because intimacy requires being seen in imperfection, not just in glory. And here's the irony. Narcissists crave love but sabotage it. Psychologists affirm that they long for closeness but fear it even more. This push-pull dynamic ensures distance. No matter how much effort you give, the wall remains, because they want connection without vulnerability, something that doesn't exist. They may mimic closeness to keep you hooked. Psychologists explain that they mirror your emotions, acting as if they understand. But this imitation isn't intimacy, it's manipulation. Over time, you notice the emptiness. You can't bond with an echo. The facade crumbles, revealing the gap between illusion and reality. Narcissists also devalue your needs. Psychologists note that they dismiss intimacy as clingy or too much. This labeling shames you for wanting connection. By making you doubt yourself, they maintain distance. You learn to silence your needs, which kills intimacy and keeps them safe from vulnerability. They block closeness by living in performance mode. Psychologists emphasize that narcissists are always acting, charming, confident, successful. But real intimacy requires dropping the act. Since they never remove the mask, you never meet the real person. You fall in love with a character, not a human being. They also avoid closeness by rewriting history. Psychologists explain that when intimacy exposes mistakes, they distort the past. They deny, twist, or minimize events. This erases your shared reality, making closeness impossible. You can't bond when the truth is constantly rewritten. Narcissists often turn intimacy into weakness. Psychologists highlight that when you open up, they may later use it against you. This betrayal teaches you not to trust them, and once trust is gone, closeness dies. Their fear of being weak ensures they weaponize vulnerability instead of cherishing it. They sabotage intimacy through infidelity. Psychologists note that cheating creates distance intentionally. By keeping multiple sources of supply, they avoid relying on one person too deeply. This betrayal reveals their inability to invest fully in one bond, proving again why closeness with them is impossible. They also fear your independence. Psychologists say narcissists need dependence to feel secure. If you grow too strong, they sense you might leave. Instead of embracing your growth, they pull away. This fear of losing you blocks intimacy because they can't celebrate your wholeness without feeling threatened. Narcissists even block intimacy with themselves. Psychologists emphasize that many avoid self-reflection. They deny flaws, hide pain, and reject accountability. If they can't be close to themselves, they can't be close to anyone else. This inner distance echoes in every relationship, leaving you stuck in loneliness. The more you try to get close, the further they push. Psychologists confirm that intimacy feels like danger to them. Your love is real, but their fear is stronger. No amount of effort can change this because the barrier isn't outside, it's within them. That's why closeness always feels out of reach. And here lies the conclusion. You cannot get close to a narcissist because closeness requires vulnerability, empathy, and trust. Things they fear most. The wall they build isn't about you, it's about them. Psychologists remind us, stop blaming yourself. Their inability to connect is their burden, not yours. Your healing begins when you accept that the distance was never your fault.